I'm just as sick of ties as you are, but I have the solution. The overtime rules the NFL absolutely needs. I'm Doug Kezirian. This is Hard Pass, also available in podcast. In a day and age where everyone in Little League basically gets a trophy and sometimes doesn't keep score as long as you all had fun, we still demand a winner and loser in the NFL. A tie just never feels right, especially on Sunday Night Football. It only accentuated our Sunday scaries. We all went to bed unfulfilled and confused, right? Over the past decade and change, including this season, we've had a total of 7 ties. Cowboys and Packers were actually the first since 2022. The NFL keeps tinkering with the rules, seemingly making a tie less and less likely. Yet Dallas and Green Bay still found a way, even when we had a total of 80 combined points. I have the solution, but the NFL keeps resisting. But ties are bad for the game. The tinkering of the current rules just aren't getting it done. On Twitter, or X, I posted a poll on my account. 68.5% voted that NFL games should not end in a tie. So what's the solution? Of course, fans have a wide range of opinions. Some are solid, some were crazy, but some were solid. It's important to remember that certain rules exist because of the nature of football. It's a grueling, physical game that can't go on forever, like maybe basketball with multiple overtimes. That's one premise to the discussion, so I have to keep that in mind without just abruptly ending a game right away in OT. If you think about it, NHL regular season after OT is decided by a shootout. But in the playoffs, they have a 20-minute intermission break between overtimes. So do you want a long break between NFL overtimes? Of course not. That would be crazy, right? Baseball added the ghost runner because they realized you can't just have teams go on forever and ever, especially the pitching staff, when they basically play every single day. It would just have a domino effect for the rest of the week and maybe a couple weeks. Candidly, I was against the ghost runner when it was first announced. I was a purist, but now I like it a lot. Simply, it just works, right? But an MLB season has 162 games, so getting a game to end sooner than later makes sense. But what about when your regular season is 17 games? Shouldn't we have an efficient way to determine a winner? Well, the NFL started to do this, incorporated this in 1974. That's when they implemented the sudden death rule, and it lasted that way until 2012. Think about how long that is, right? 38 years. And there were only 17 ties, so less than 1 per 2 seasons, or total 3.4% of games ended in a tie. Then in 2012, the league modified it with a tweak that they actually already had tried in the playoffs a couple years earlier. If the first team to score, or the first possession, I should say, only gets a field goal, then the other team would also get a possession. Now, if they punted, then it's sudden death. Now, along the way, in 2015, the NFL also moved back the extra point distance with the hopes of encouraging more teams to go for 2 throughout regulation. In theory, this would also help avoid a tie because we'd get some unique margins throughout the game, not just always 3, 4, and 7 like typical football scores. You'd get some sort of wonky margins. Now, in 2017, overtime was reduced from 15 minutes to 10 minutes for player safety, which still doesn't make a ton of sense in my eyes. Does 5 extra minutes really matter? Then this year, another tweak. Both teams are guaranteed a possession, even if the first team gets a touchdown on the opening drive. This is also something they tried a couple years ago just in the playoffs, but now it's all the time, including the regular season. But again, only 10 minutes. As you would imagine, all of us unfulfilled fans took to social media, so it's time now for a heat check, and we got some good ones, and it starts with Barstool. Big Cat, always awesome. A Sunday night tie is hilarious. Yes, just captured it in brevity. Sickos Committee, ban regular season overtime, embrace the tie. NFL Memes had a video of Micah Parsons when he played for the Cowboys, just frustrated on the bench, watched 4 straight hours of football to watch a damn tie. And then Optic Hitch, I've been alive for 32 years, and the NFL has never gotten overtime right. How is it possible to have billions of dollars invested into something and nobody can get it right? It's not hard. Why the F is it overcomplicated? It does feel overcomplicated, but we're going to have the answer for you. You know, you're the part of the problem or you're part of the solution. So we want to be part of the solution. At least I do, and I have it for you. Is it as simple as just extending overtime period from 10 to 15 minutes? No, because we had ties when that was the case. So that's not the solution. You just have to think outside the box. But really, The NFL needs a reality check. It needs to get off its high horse or its ego trip, whatever you want to call it. It needs to adopt the college rules. That is the simplest, cleanest way. Maybe they can tweak it, right? An NFL version, but the college rules need to be the baseline. It accounts for player safety and achieves an actual outcome without lasting too long. So what does the NCAA do? Let's refresh our memory. Remember last year's Georgia Tech game at the end of the year was awesome, right? A thriller. It went 8 overtimes. Each team starts with the ball on the 25-yard line. Obviously, on 4th down, they must decide whether to kick a field goal, go for a first down, or maybe even a touchdown. And as you would imagine, the team going second has an advantage of knowing what they need, unless you're Deion Sanders, who hasn't quite figured that out yet. That was a sidebar. So then the next overtime, same rules, but if you score a touchdown, you cannot kick an extra point. You have to go for 2. Then that format's done. If you're still tied after 2 OTs, beginning with the 3rd OT, it's just alternating 2-point conversions, kind of like penalty kicks in soccer or a shootout in hockey. But it's not field goal kicking. It's just from the 2-point conversion distance. And maybe the NFL can do a variation of that. So maybe instead of starting with the 25-yard line, maybe the 50. You have to get into field goal range before you can even score. But that, to me, I think is the solution. Each team gets a fair chance. It's not just dependent on the coin flip with these explosive offenses. Defense is also important, right? If it's at the 50, you prevent them from getting in, or on the 2-pointers, you play good D. So it's not just rewarding offenses. Player safety is taken into account. You don't have going up and down the field. This can end pretty quickly. That would solve the NFL's issue. And make no mistake, it absolutely is an issue right now. We cannot have ties. The fact that it was the Cowboys and the Packers on Sunday Night Football, it just magnified it. It messes with the standings. Frankly, fans won't stand for it, and critics might have an issue with the penalty kick concept, but you had 60 minutes to win the game in regulation, followed by 2 overtime possessions. Deal with it if we're in the 3rd OT. You don't like the alternating 2-point conversions. Also, during the game, you don't have to kick extra points. You can go for 2 during the game. So it just, in this case of Dallas or Green Bay, you also could have done something on defense and won the game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Am I crazy? Is this too extreme? Is the current format okay? So what if we have ties? Are you okay with them? I'm not, but maybe you are. Let me know your thoughts. Join the conversation, as we like to say. Would love your input across the board. Time now for fans in the stands, and this is when I get to respond to your comments, our audience or our fans in the stands. Just a reminder to please like and subscribe the show. It's our currency in this YouTube world. It really helps with the analytics and you name it, and really appreciate you engaging in the conversation, the comment section, what you like, what you dislike, random questions, suggestions for the show. We are all ears. Always appreciate the constructive criticism as well. But we have a few comments from our last episode that touched on the press conference to announce JJ Reddick's contract extension. And then there were questions about LeBron, and you could just see it with Rob Pelinka and read between the lines. That was the thumbnail we had. It really spoke to like how the Lakers view LeBron, and basically they're done with him after this season, and it's not his call. That was my takeaway, and it's pretty obvious. Bradley Parks, 812, says, what's hilarious is they extended JJ. Yeah, I thought it was pretty weird too. The JJ Reddick, he's never coached before. He's in the middle of or just started a 5-year deal, I want to say. And then after his first year, he got an extension. Now, we don't know the terms. Lakers didn't announce it. It could be just picking up the 5th year if that was a team option and whatnot. We'll eventually get those terms and learn that information. But what's important is, remember, the Lakers were just sold. And typically, it's my understanding, when teams are sold, usually the key figures, whether it be the general manager, the coach, the staff, they get contracts picked up and extended so the new owner can't just clean house. Gives them some security in the short term. So that's the premise of why maybe Reddick's agent was able to initiate that discussion. Sergeant Robert Leans, and I apologize if I mispronounced your name. 3 teams, LBJ number 23, will be interested in playing for. Warriors, Cavs, Knicks. Good luck to LeBron James, LBJ 23. Those make sense. Warriors, obviously, remember he inquired about playing alongside Steph. They are certainly friends off the court. They developed some chemistry with the Team USA experience. Cavs, obviously his hometown or his home area, if you will, for Akron. And then the Knicks, obviously winning in New York would be amazing. The problem is he's making $51 million this year, right? Or $52 million, whatever it is. And then he's going to want a big contract. Is he worth that in a salary cap league? Off the court, he obviously is worth that, his brand, everything like that. But it does make you wonder about certain things. I don't know. And he's got one more year. So how good will he be after this season? He's still a top 20 player right now, in my eyes. At least he was last season, assuming he hasn't deteriorated in the offseason. But when you get old, Father Time's undefeated, as we know, sometimes it can go quickly. So I mentioned Tim Bontemps polled some executives, some coaches, some scouts. 7 of the 20, I think he'll be retired or return to the Lakers, something like that. So he could still retire after this season. Another part of the last episode was about Bruce Pearl abruptly retiring and stepping aside so his son, 38-year-old Stephen Pearl, can take over the Auburn program. And SM Scott here says Auburn needs to have some, and still find a qualified coach because those players and the organization deserve better. That's my thought. I mean, it's a classic case of nepotism, but it occurs everywhere, right? It's coaching, executives, NBA level, whatnot. And then LeBron had the Bronny, obviously. Coaches do this in terms of late in the offseason, retire and stuff like this. So it puts the university in a bind. Bo Ryan most recently did it. Jim Calhoun, Dean Smith even did it at North Carolina. So Bruce Pearl's not the first one to do it. He tried to have his son, Stephen Pearl, get the official coach in waiting title a few years ago, but then AD at Auburn would not do it. He was just the associate head coach, is mainly the main assistant. And then Bruce Pearl finagled it. But Bruce is going to stay on with the university in sort of an advisory role. So I imagine he's going to help Stephen with the adjustment period and things like that. We'll see. It needs to work well. Otherwise, there will be some criticism targeted at the Pearl family, or tandem, let's call it, the father and son. That's going to do it for this edition of Hard Pass. We always appreciate you chiming in and getting involved. Again, please like and subscribe the show. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. We had really good traction on the last episode about LeBron and also Bruce Pearl, but love your feedback on this overtime rules change moving forward.